Okay, in this video, I will show you some tips and tricks how to more efficiently use AMBIA. Also, I will explain what are different parameters in the static switches file, which you really need to fine-tune in order to be able to use it correctly for your slides. First, I will show you how you can create a desktop icon so you can easily launch AMBIA without going through the command prompt. What you can do is just open a notepad or a text editor. Okay. Here you write CD and then the path to your AMBIA folder. So you go to your AMBIA folder inside MB GUI and inside SRC. Copy this path and paste it here after CD. And then write python main.py. Okay. If your AMBIA is installed in another directory, let's say it's installed in drive D, you need to write either CD, D colon, or just write D, just try both, see which one works, and then write your path here. So this should be how it is. This is D if you're on drive D, okay? But if you're on drive C, then everything should be easy. This is enough. Now, this is important. Save this file, save as. For example, let's call it AMBIA. And the format, you should write it as .bat. So we don't save it as format text. We save it as format.bat. And let's just save it on desktop. And I can close this. This file appears here, which is called AMBIA. And if I click, a terminal automatically opens and tries to run AMBIA. And there you go, it opens, okay? So this was the first trick. Now I will show you another trick at the end of the video, but let's go through the static switches file. As I mentioned, you will most probably need to edit this file and adjust some parameters. Don't worry, just try to keep a copy of the original version like this with another name, and then you can easily edit this one without worrying to lose the original. So anytime you mess things really bad, you can go and see the original and just copy it there. So let's open this static switches file. I right click, edit with IDL or edit it with any text editor. Okay, now let's go through the parameters one by one. The first one, number of channels, is what channels of your slide you want to analyze. So sometimes it happens your slide has 5 channels, okay? And you want to analyze only 2 channels, you can specify I want to analyze channel 0 and 1. How do I know which ones are channel 0 and 1? That's what I showed you in the previous video. When you load the slide, in the terminal, it prints for you, this is the number of channels with this order. So it's first DAPI and then this and this. So then you know channel 0 is DAPI, and if you want it, you write 0 here. If you want the next channel, okay? You can also change the order of these if you want a specific colors assigned to each, because these are now displayed as BGR. So the first channel is displayed in blue, the next one is displayed in green, and the third one displayed in red, okay? Type of channel determines what method you will be using for cell detection for that channel. For the first 2 channels, GUI means you will choose them from the graphical user interface. So remember, when you are inside AMBIA in the cell detection, you can select which method of cell detection you want to use. And that was only available for first and second channel, which were blue and green, okay? But if you have 3 or more channels, then you can specify it here with what method you want it to be analyzed. So never change these first 2, because these always have to be through GUI, graphical user interface. You can change this one or the next ones. So if I write R, this means it uses the rabies method. If I write here C, this means it should use the CFOS method. And what about the parameters? So for the first 2 channels, I choose the parameters through the graphical user interface. But for example, for the third channel, I have to specify the parameters here. So if I choose rabies, I change parameter rabies here. Don't touch the first 2 because these first 2 channels are chosen through the GUI. So I change these parameters, the minimum size and the threshold, okay? So I can specify the parameters here. But if I choose C here, which means CFOS, this will be discarded and it will look here what parameters I want to choose. And this is minimum sigma, maximum sigma, background intensity, cell intensity. With this order, you can specify the parameters, okay? Sometimes it's easier to find these parameters through the GUI. So if your third channel, you're not sure about the parameters, you can write here only 2. Go to the GUI, use the GUI to adjust the parameters, and when you find the best parameters, then you can come back and then change this again to 0, 1, 2, and then now you know the parameters. You can just simply write them here. This is what is the circle that is circled around the blobs that are detected in the graphical user interface. So if they are too big or too small for your cells, you can adjust this number. This one is also important. So here you can choose between which 2 channels you want the colocalization to be detected. So if I write 0, 1, 2, it detects colocalization if signals from channels 0, 1, and 2 are overlapped, okay? But if I choose 0 and 1, only channel 1 and 0 need to be overlapped for it to be recognized as colocalization. You can also choose several colocalizations and it will show you in different colors. So it might come as cyan, it might come as like magenta, and it will also show this to you in the terminal. Each permutation is represented by which color, okay? Now, gamma is what is used to increase the contrast of each channel. So if you see one of the channels is really dim and you want to increase its contrast and increase its density, you can change the default value to a number between 0.5 and 2.5. And the higher the number is, the brighter and the more contrast you would have. You can leave this as is. Yeah, this is if you set auto registration to true. Although in the GUI you have a toggle to switch auto registration on and off, this would be the default version. So the default version would be always on true. Okay. The rest is not that important, at least for now. This is the important one. Did you notice in the registration that I was performing at the beginning, the sections were vertical, but after I clicked select, it was rotated 90 degrees and it was horizontal and it was in the right direction. That's because I turned rotate flag to true. It depends on your slides. You can turn it to false so it doesn't rotate 90 degrees. This is a gamma enhancement flag set to true, which uses these gamma variables to enhance the image. This contrast enhancement is just for the atlas level. I would leave it as it is because this is only the image that is used for the registration. So this is the image you see in the registration stage. If it's too dim or if it's too light, you can adjust this variable. Channels to omit is also an important parameter. So sometimes in the registration, you might come to see that auto registration is distorted somehow. And this might be due to the fact that one of your channels, for example, the DAPI channel has unsymmetric signals on right and left side. And this might distort the registration. This has nothing to do with the cell detection, only in the registration step. You can choose to omit channel 0, which is DAPI. Then it helps more accurately register the image. So you can choose it to be channel 0, 1, or 2. Cell overlap is if 2 detected CFOs have more than 50% overlap, then they're detected as one cell. So you can adjust this parameter as well. Okay, this is the atlas type. If you choose adult, it will use the Allen mouse brain atlases for adult mouse brain. If you choose P56, it would use P56 atlases. And if you choose rat, it would use rat atlases. However, rat atlases are not yet publicly available. I think Netherlands Institute of Neuroscience is working on the rat slices, so they are not publicly available yet, but they might be soon. So I would say not change this for now. Now you have the possibility to also use bright field images, not just fluorescent images. If your images are bright field, change this to true. Here you can choose what's the resolution of your slides. In case of magnification, you can see in the metadata or description of your scanner. Yeah, and I would leave the rest the same. The most important parts are, I would say, these first parts where you select which channels you want to analyze, what should be the colocalizations, and maybe changing a contrast a bit. But other than that, don't change a lot of things unless you want the rotation and some things like this. Make sure to always save it before closing it, because otherwise it won't take effect. Save it, close it, and then run AMBIA again. So you have to close AMBIA, run it again for these changes to apply. One last tip, which I'm gonna show you now. Let's run AMBIA. So this is a hypothetical case. It's not happening here, but sometimes it happens that two sections are too close to each other that they are detected as one section, okay? When this happens, what you can do is, first of all, you need to make sure you're on a version of AMBIA which you have a detect button here. I will try to make sure as soon as possible I will update this to have the detect button, because we used to have this detect button, then we got rid of it, but then we realized it's really necessary to have it here. So make sure you have the version that has a detect button here. And what you can do while you're in this screen, you can go in the processed folder, in the folder of your slide, open the M-level image in a photo editor software. It can be Paint. Take the paintbrush with black color and just try to separate these two sections by painting between them like a layer of black. So you really separate them without hurting the shape of the slides, of course, but you can just create a bridge here to separate them. Then save the file. After you save the file, without loading the slide again, don't load the slide again, you click this detect button and it will detect it again and it will detect them as separate. So this was a tip that might come useful to you. So my intention is to keep this project going, and if you run into problems, you can report it in the GitHub, you can email me, you can write us through the website, and we will try to find a solution, and we will try to gather all the frequently asked questions and answer them so everybody else can use them. Yeah, I hope you can use it successfully, and I hope it would be a useful tool for you. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.